Must-have fragrances for winter. So when I say a must-have fragrance for winter, what do I mean exactly? This is what, in my opinion, you've heard about so many times over the last few winters that you're bound to have these by now. These are kind of go-tos or standard fare, if you will, for the colder months. I've got 10 of them for you today, so stay tuned. With the first one, the ever so popular from Zaharoff, Wanted by Night. Sweet, spicy, relatively affordable as well, and quite powerful. Beast mode level type of stuff, as is with pretty much everything in this video. Minus maybe 2 fragrances. God, this is such a beautiful fragrance. You can get these for such a good price. They're very seductive. They're lady killer type of fragrances. This is a great date night fragrance as well, but the spice, the warmth, and the power that it has makes it perfect for the colder weather, especially if you live in a much colder climate, more Midwest, Northeast, Northwest type of stuff, where you get a lot of really cold weather with a lot of snow and ice and stuff like that. And you want something that's really going to cut through the cold and give you a warming effect on your skin. Look no further. For the price, it's hard to beat. The Zaharoff Wanted by Night. This is one of my personal favorites for winter, as is with a lot of people. It's probably the most popular fragrance from this house. Of course, I'm talking about Mancera Red Tobacco. This is a very beloved fragrance for many reasons. First and foremost, for what you can get it for in the sub $100 range from discounters. Depending on where you get it from, you can get it for about $72, $73 at Kingdom Fragrances, which is always linked below. Best price I've seen on it anyways. It's too powerful. Pretty much. It's so powerful that it's pretty much too powerful. This is an all day and then some, 16 plus hours of longevity, fill a room type of projection. It's got an extremely high compliment factor, especially if you're easy on the sprays and they'll go too heavy to fill that room too quickly. And it's getting more affordable by the year. I mean, $72 for this. Last year at discounters you were looking at $100. It's worth every single penny. It's probably the most popular fragrance from the house for good reason. If you like a good tobacco fragrance, you don't mind some pretty pungent oud and incense to really darken the top of this up, because it's a very, very powerful opening. Red Tobacco from Mancera, it's beloved for a reason. Many, many reasons actually. It's very, very difficult to beat. It's a staple in any fragrance enthusiast collection for the colder months, and it's definitely a must-have. Iconic red bottle, Red Tobacco. Now, the L'Intense flanker to this line has been getting more hype recently. I featured it in my winter designer list because I plan on diving into that one a bit more this year. But the go-to staple for the colder months from this line, from the house of Guerlain, is the Eau de Parfum of L'Homme Ideal. This is a must-have, because the L'Intense isn't going to be for everyone. Not everybody likes to smoke a cord or a lot of leather and stuff like that. I understand that, but this is just beautiful. Cherry almond with a lighter leather note and some beautiful, beautiful sweetness from that cherry. I mean, this is stunning. This is another fragrance that is stunning. Very sexy and seductive fragrance. Cherry note. Who knew? Something that would go great in a men's fragrance. It works here. You get that creamy almond that the line is known for. The almond is the signature for the L'Homme Ideal line. And the Eau de Parfum, it performs very well. It cuts through the cold. It's got just the right amount of sweetness without being overly sickeningly sweet. And that cherry note, just cherry almond, it just distinguishes it so much. It makes it smell unlike any others. I mean, there's other cherry fragrances out there I'm certain of. I don't have any of them, but from a marketable standpoint, this is definitely the most popular one, and for good reason. This stuff is so good. You're going to love the way this thing smells. If you haven't tried it, I urge you to sample it. I'm shocked if you don't have it already, hence why this is in this video. Winter must-haves, and in my opinion, this is definitely a winter must-have. You know, from this house, there's a lot of really, really good ones for the winter. But this topped a lot of winter lists over the last 2 years. and for good reason, and it may top a few more this year. It kind of battles with another fragrance in its own house. We're talking about Parfums de Marly, Carlisle. The other one that it battles with is Amouage, which I don't have, still don't have. I have smelled it, and eventually I'll get it, but in my opinion, this is kind of the winter fragrance to own, bar none, from Parfums de Marly. It's got a little bit of everything going for it. A little bit of tobacco, a little bit of sweetness. It's got a little tiny floral aspect. It's a little dark. It's a little smoky. It's resinous. It's woody. It's, oh God, I smell it floating in the air too. And it's powerful. Compliment machine too. It's gotten me many compliments. Maybe 2 handfuls of times that I've worn it, because I don't pull it out all the time. I kind of lean to, it's situational for me because I put it in such high regard. I only wear it in certain instances because I think it's that good of a fragrance. And it's been talked about enough to where you've heard about this one before, and most likely, at the very least, somebody's gotten a sample or a decant of this. It's a sought after bottle for the colder months for very good reason, because this stuff is so, so good. This is another one like Red Tobacco that's absurd performance from a longevity and projection standpoint. If you're looking for something powerful that's going to cut through the cold with the most ease you can imagine, Parfums de Marly, Carlisle. This is a must-have, crowd pleaser in my opinion anyways. Not crowd pleasing along the lines of a mass appealing blue ambroxan fragrance. Crowd pleasing is in, I can't imagine somebody thinking this doesn't smell good. It is so freaking amazing, and it's definitely a must-have if you got the money to spend on some niche fragrances this winter. Parfums de Marly, Carlisle. This fragrance actually needs no introduction, so we're just going to jump into it. Dior Homme Intense. What do I need to say that you don't already know? It's sweet, it's lipsticky iris, it's leathery, it's a little musky. It's beautiful. And it performs. An iris lover's fragrance. Leans formal. It definitely does. It leans to a dressier occasion, and for good reason. It's a formal smell. You know, this is definitely one you can wear for a black tie event, but it doesn't have to just be a black tie fragrance. You can wear this one easily with a nice jacket in the winter, a nice collared shirt. Doesn't even have to be an Oxford, essentially. It's just a confidence boosting, confidence building, awe-inspiring type of fragrance where most likely you're not going to smell like anyone else in the room unless there just so happens to be another fragrance enthusiast such as yourself that's a fan of the Dior Homme line. What's the odds of that happening to you though? This thing performs. It's been rebottled. I'm sure it's a different formula as far as the oil ratios and stuff like that, but the overall formula hasn't changed. The new bottles, from what I understand, still smell the same. This is an older bottle. It's a must-have. It's a great fragrance. For the fall, I like to swing more towards the original Dior Homme, but for the winter, it's more intense in Parfum for me, with the Parfum being much, much, much more difficult and more expensive to get. That's why it's not featured here. But this is one that's a bit more readily available and more attainable for everyone. That's why I say this is a must-have for the winter, especially for an iris lover. Dior Homme Intense. Do you like coffee fragrances? I like coffee fragrances. And this is my favorite. This is my absolute favorite coffee fragrance. Those of you that saw my winter fragrances from winter fragrance list from 2019 or saw my review of this one, you know I'm not joking when I say this is my favorite coffee fragrance. And it's one of the most clever labels and names in fragrance. From Happy Lane Studio, Homme for the holidays. let me pause, hold that there for you. Look at that label and look at the name. So clever. EJ's a genius. I've said it many times before. But the biggest thing, a fresh pot of coffee and some syrupy waffles mixed together. That's how I always like to describe this one. It's beast mode level. It's beyond 12 hours. It's very loud. You don't need many sprays, as you saw by that rocket of a spray that comes out the atomizer. 2 or 3 of those and you're more than good for your day. It's amazing. He's got 3 coffee fragrances that he offers: Dawn Buster, this, and Quick Cafe. They're different levels of sweetness, from a dry black coffee to a mildly sweetened citrus coffee to a very sweet coffee, which Homme for the holidays is the sweetest of the three. It is definitely my favorite. It's an ideal winter fragrance. I mean, it's geared for Christmas time by the label and the name. This is a must-have winter fragrance from, not just from Happy Land Studios, but just in general. The reason I haven't been talking about this one recently is because it hasn't been cold enough to talk about it yet. Well, we're around the corner from winter time. It's time to start gearing up for winter, and if you don't have this one yet, I urge you to get it. Get a sample if nothing else, because after that sample, you're going to end up getting a bottle. Happy Land Studio. Homme for the holidays. This topped many winter lists over the last 2 years. This is a beloved cold weather, date night, beast mode fragrance. It gets featured in those 3 types of videos all the time for good reason. It is a must-have. One of the most must-have fragrances in this video. Viktor & Rolf Spice Bomb Extreme. Doesn't get much more must-have than this one, ladies and gentlemen. Vanilla, spices, tobacco, sheer beauty. One of the best designer fragrances ever made and available on the market. That is my opinion, and I stand firmly by it. This grenade is a must. I love the original. I love the whole line, to be completely honest. But there's no denying that this is the best one in the line. This is one of the best winter fragrances money can buy, niche, designer, or otherwise. Doesn't get much more must-have than this one, guys. It performs, it's sexy, it's seductive. You're gonna love the way you smell. Everyone around you is gonna love the way you smell. And I'm pretty confident in saying your lady is gonna want you to wear this one just about every day once she gets a whiff of it. This is a beautiful, intoxicating aroma that I know I can't get enough of, and I'm pretty confident that goes for a lot of you as well. Pretty confident most of you have this already, because it's a must-have for winter. And the Spice Bomb Extreme from Viktor & Rolf. Next, this is actually the only fragrance in this video featured from a clone house. Reason being, the original's not available and hasn't been available for many years now, and it's fetching a ridiculous amount of money. We're talking several $100s to get a bottle. Not a few hundred, several hundred. It's from the discontinued Bond No. 9 Andy Warhol. This is Sensual Obsession's version of Bond No. 9 Andy Warhol. Sweet, powerful, plum. Oh, I sprayed this one on my arm the other night and just could not stop sniffing myself. I sniff the atomizer all the time. I've always done that since I got this. I've been through a few different decants for a few different batches of it. This is an older bottle. Sensual Obsessions doesn't have these frosted 60 mLs anymore, but the fragrance is the same. It's incredible, it's powerful, and it's one of the best plum fragrances out there. Even from a clone standpoint, this is a must-have. If you only get one thing from Sensual Obsessions, it needs to be Andy Warhol, their formulation of Bond No. 9. And it's cheap. You're not going to spend a lot of money. You will thank me later for this one. Once you get it, I can assure you. It's a must-have in my opinion. It'll always be featured. For as long as Sensual Obsessions exists as a company, this will be featured in the colder months for me as a must-have, because in my opinion, it is a must-have. As long as you like sweet plum fragrances. Some people don't like that note, and I get it. But if you do like plum, you will love this. Just like with Spice Bomb Extreme, this was featured as a #1 for many people's winter and fall list over the last few years. Another one for very good reason, because it's such a good fragrance. One of the best iris fragrances on the market from a designer level, for sure. Prada Loam Intense. Leather, patchouli, soapy, powdery, floral iris. Great performance, not beast mode, just right. Just right. 8 to 10 hours of longevity easily, and you're not filling a room with the projection. It's not intimate level projection. It's a little bit further out than that. People will be able to smell you pretty easy for the first few hours. Then it becomes a more intimate level where it's a bit closer to the skin. If you like the original at all, you'll love the Intense. The Intense is arguably the best one in the line. A lot of people will argue that, and it's hard to argue with because I do like the original the most, but this one's a very close second. I feel like the entire line's great, really and truly. Prada did phenomenal with the Loam line, but for the colder months, it's very hard to beat Prada Loam Intense. This one's been hyped and talked about to death over the last few years, and it deserves all of it. It deserves all the praise, and it deserves your attention. As long as you like Iris, you should own this one. If you don't like Iris, you're probably not going to like this, but if you like Iris-based fragrances, doesn't get much more must-have than Prada Loam Intense. Last but not least, this one is probably going to surprise a few of you, maybe more than a few of you, because I chose this formula, this concentration over others in the line. Because in my opinion, I think I can speak for the majority here, because not everybody dislikes Dior Savage. Most people like it. That's why they sell so many bottles. And for the colder months, let's get a little bit more subdued with the projection. Let's increase the scent quality and warm it up a little bit. And let's go with Savage Parfum. For the colder months, this is a must-have in my opinion if you're a fan of Savage. If you have the Eau de Toilette and that's your usual go-to, get this one for the colder months. Change it up a little bit. This one's a bit sexier. This one's a bit warmer. This one's a little bit more subdued. This is a little dressier version of Savage, if you will. If you have the EDP, same thing. Let this be the one you wear for certain special occasions if you're a fan of Savage. If that's kind of your go-to, let this be that special occasion cold weather Savage. Because the scent on this one is gorgeous. I can't imagine anybody that likes Savage sitting here to tell me that this isn't the best smelling of the three. I'm sorry. That's my opinion, and hell, for the Fragrance Foundation Awards, this won Designer of the Year. You tell me they're not selling bottles of Savage Parfum. Come on now. It projects well enough. I get anosmic to it. Wearing these masks has taught me that I'm just getting anosmic to it because you wear it for a little while, you take it off, and it hits you. And it's been 4 or 5 hours, and it hits you like you just sprayed it. And it lasts all day on my skin, on into the next day, easily on clothes. It's a must-have for the winter if you like Savage or Ambroxan fragrances, in my opinion, of course. Dior Savage Parfum. Well, guys, that's my picks for must-haves for the winter. It wasn't about cheap, designer, or niche. It was just the 10 that I believe are just must-haves. These are the ones that, for a fragrance enthusiast, these are the way to go. For a newer person into the hobby of fragrances, maybe pick you 1 or 2 off of this if you trust my opinion. Do your own research. Don't just trust my nose, but trust your nose, because I love these fragrances. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of these do you already have? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of these, you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.